On Top Stories today, I am Jennifer Okolo. Many thanks for joining us. Now, some angry youths in Kano State on Monday hurled stones at the advance convoy of President Muhammadu Buhari during an official visit to Kano. Security had been beefed up across the Kano metropolis as the president visited the state to inaugurate 80 development projects. The president arrived at the Aminu Kano International Airport in the morning, and was from there he was conveyed by helicopter to the palace of the Emir of Kano, Aminu Bayero. However, in spite of the heavy security presence mounted on the route leading to Ahmadu Bello Way, where the president was to launch Galaxy Backbone Limited project, angry youths holding stones of various sizes and wielding sticks reportedly attacked Buhari's convoy and helicopter as it hovered above them. The protesting youths chanted and ran helter-skelter to avoid being caught by heavily armed security operatives who provided security for the president and his convoy. Now, moving on, the Registrar of the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, has said that the board is targeting 1.8 million candidates to register for the 2023 Uniform Tertiary Matriculation Examinations in the country. Oloyede, who disclosed this in Ilorin, Kwara State, while inspecting computer-based test centers, said while it is expected that about 1.8 million candidates will register for the examination, only 445,081 have so far registered. Oloyede, however, said there will be no extension of the February 14 deadline for the ongoing registration for the examination. Meanwhile, the board has announced that the provision of email addresses is now compulsory for UTME registration. JAMB made this known in a statement released on Monday by its head Public Affairs and Protocol, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, adding that no candidates will be registered henceforth without an email address provided. The European Union Election Observation Mission has said that 100 observers will be deployed for the 2023 polls. The chief observer, EU EOM Barry Andrews, stated this during the inauguration of the EU EOM in Nigeria 2023 in Abuja on Monday. Andrews said that the EU EOM was deployed by the EU following an invitation from the Independent National Electoral Commission, and it started its work on January 11, 2023 with the arrival of a core team of 11 experts with competencies in various aspects of elections. He also stated that this is the 7th EU EOM to Nigeria since 1999, noting that for the first time in Nigeria, the mission has a dedicated election technology analyst who would be assessing the use of technologies, especially the verification of voters and transmission of results. Andrews added that after the data and observations received from the long-term observers, a preliminary statement will be issued 2 days after the general election. Now, moving on, Nigeria's economy is set to grow from 3.0% in 2022 to 3.2% in 2023 due to measures made to address insecurity in the oil sector, according to the International Monetary Fund. The IMF disclosed this in its World Economic Outlook Update January 2023 report. It stated that growth across sub-Saharan Africa will moderate at 3.8% in 2023 amid prolonged fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Washington-based lender explains that the growth in the global economy will slow down in 2023 before bouncing back in 2024. This is as the global fight against inflation and Russia's war in Ukraine weigh on activity. Growth is forecasted to slow from 3.4% in 2022 to 2.9% in 2023, then rebound to 3.1% in 2024. Well, barely 48 hours to the initial deadline for the return of the redesigned notes, the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele informed Nigerians on Sunday that the deadline has been extended to February the 10th. Our correspondent tells us more.
In response to complaints that millions of people have been unable to obtain replacements, endangering commercial activity and livelihoods weeks before the presidential elections, Nigeria's central bank has delayed the phase-out of outdated high-value banknotes for 10 days. The new deadline is now February the 10th instead of the former 31st January deadline. Mr. Emefiele spoke in Daura, Katsina State after a meeting with the president, who is in his home state for official duties.
Aside from those holding illicit and stolen naira in their homes, for speculative purpose, we do aim to give all Nigerians that have naira legitimately earned and trapped the opportunity to deposit their legitimately trapped monies at the CBN for exchange. Based on the foregoing, we have sought and obtained Mr. President's approval for the following. 1. A 10-day extension of the deadline from January 31, 2023 to February 10, 2023 to allow for collection of more old notes legitimately held by Nigerians and achieve more success in cash swap in our rural areas, in our villages and communities, after which all old notes outside the CBN loses their legal tender.
A week before this new development, the CBN governor told newsmen that there will be no going back on the previous deadline, January 31st, 2023.
He says reports suggest that many people want the deadline to be shifted for reasons ranging from their inability to gain access to the new notes or deposit their old currencies. I must say here that unfortunately I don't have good news for those who feel that we should shift the deadline. My apologies.
In order to combat counterfeiting and limit the usage of cash in Africa's largest economy, the central bank announced a redesign of 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes in October 2022. Politicians and ordinary individuals in the country where the cash economy is still very active have criticized the bank's handling of the initiative. As the deadline drew near, people claimed that although banks continued to print the old notes, companies, especially stores, were refusing to accept them.
It's for us to be able to take all our old notes to the bank so that anybody that wants to come and do any transaction with us here, it's either you're doing a transfer or you're doing a POS transaction with us for now. Because even the notes, it's only few we've been collecting. Most of the customers still come with a lot of the notes.
Many of the country's population live in rural areas with no access to banks where they can exchange the old notes. A cash swap scheme to help them do so via banking agents in their communities was announced a week before the initial deadline.
Now moving on to the international scene, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and other top officials have strongly condemned the suicide bombing at a mosque in Peshawar, Pakistan on Monday that left at least 59 dead and 150 injured. According to reports, a militant group had claimed responsibility for the attack, which occurred at the crowded mosque. Reports showed that the bombing caused the roof to collapse on top of worshippers inside. Extending his condolences to the victims' families and wishes for a prompt recovery to those injured, Guterres reiterated the solidarity of the United Nations with the government and people of Pakistan in their efforts to address terrorism and violent extremism. And that's much we can take on top stories. Many thanks for watching. I am Jennifer Okalu. Do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs.